have been sworn in. I'm not a current resident of Mason. Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I'm going to address the electric utility portion of it. I think there's been a lot of comments about the potential impact on rates. Hopefully my comments will help to address that concern. East Kentucky Power Cooperative has been a proud part of Masonville, Mason County for over 50 years now. Spurlock Station there on the Ohio River is EKPC's flagship power plant. Today, the plant employs over 250 people, along with hundreds of on-site contractors. Spurlock Station plays a central role in EKPC's past, present, and future. While utility companies across the country have been closing power plants like Spurlock, EKPC has chosen a different path. EKPC is investing in Spurlock Station's long-term future to maintain this reliable, competitive power plant. On the two original units, EKPC has invested in scrubbers, precipitators, and other environmental controls to maintain compliance and to ensure a long life for the power plant. Since 2005, EKPC has commissioned 2 new units at Spurlock Station, and those units feature innovative technology to slash emissions while maintaining high efficiency. In the last few years, EKPC has cleaned and closed the CCR ponds at the plant and relocated the materials to a line-capped landfill away from the Ohio River. With these significant investments, I'm pleased to say Spurlock Station is one of the cleanest power plants in the nation. And EKPC continues to invest in Spurlock Station's future. We are investing in technology to co-fire all 4 units at Spurlock Station with natural gas. And this will ensure that Spurlock Station will reduce carbon dioxide emissions and continue operating when strict EPA regulations go into effect in 2030. Over the years, each of these investment decisions has come down to one goal: doing what is best for our 16 owner-member cooperatives and the 1.1 million people that those cooperatives serve in 89 counties around Kentucky. And that includes thousands of businesses. The question always before our co-ops is, how can we provide the most reliable electricity at the lowest possible price to all of our co-op members? EKPC and our 16 owner-member co-ops are not-for-profit organizations. Electric co-ops are based in the communities we serve, and we have a long history of supporting and promoting economic development in those communities. Jobs and investment are essential to maintaining the vitality of the communities we serve and providing opportunities for the future in those communities. Tax base supports schools, roads, emergency services, and other basic services. Large users of electricity help to stabilize electric rates for everyone, especially in the rural areas that we serve. A core principle for all electric cooperatives is we treat everybody fairly, or we try to. We serve households along with businesses, big and small. We serve farming operations. We serve large industries that use large amounts of electricity. That is why we maintain separate rate classes for residential commercial, and industrial members. And within each rate class, or some of those classes, there are subclasses. Each class or subclass uses electricity a little bit differently. As a result, their rate structure is designed so that the electric co-op can recover all of the cost of serving those members in that class. If one member or group of members is not paying their fair share, that means that somebody else somewhere is paying more. We work hard to prevent that kind of cost shifting. Now, as an aside, sometimes I refer to electric tariff. That's a rate schedule. This doesn't have anything to do with international imports or China or anything like that. A tariff is a rate schedule. And it's important to note that electric utilities in Kentucky have regulated territories. We have a legal obligation to serve anybody that is located in those territories. If someone decides to build a home, a business, a school, a factory, or a data center anywhere in those territories, our co-ops are obligated to serve. Under federal law, EKPC is required to serve any customer that wishes to take service on the grid. And because we're obligated to serve both on a state and federal level, EKPC believes we should be prepared and proactive in our discussions with prospective large users of electricity, including data centers. And we have been proactive. In the past few weeks, the Kentucky Public Service Commission has approved a data center rate schedule specifically for data centers. This gives EKPC and our owner member cooperatives a strong tool to serve the needs of data centers while protecting our other co-op members. This data center rate schedule is designed to ensure data centers pay their fair share. They pay the full cost of electricity that they use and the full cost of any infrastructure that it is built to serve them. This means other co-op members will not pay for power plants or power lines needed to serve data centers. The data center rate schedule is designed to identify costs and risks that are caused by data centers and to keep those costs and risks with the data centers, not with our other members. This is fundamental to rate design. So if serving a new data center means EKPC must build a new generating unit at a power plant, or enter into a new power purchase agreement with another power plant owner to serve that data center, then the data center bears all of that cost. If EKPC must build a new transmission line or a new substation to serve the data center bears that cost. EKPC developed this rate schedule after studying the experiences of other communities around the country. We've carefully considered how best to serve the growing need while insulating our other co-op members from the costs and risks. And we believe the the data center rate schedule is best in class for protecting our other members and for unleashing the opportunities that are available to communities, such as jobs, tax base, and investment. We recognize that not all data centers are the same. In fact, their power needs and power usage patterns can vary pretty widely. Some may use 20 megawatts of electricity very steadily. Others may use many times that amount of electricity, but their usage may vary pretty widely from minute to minute or hour to hour. Some data centers may have the ability to adjust their power usage as consumption on the electric grid goes up and down. Other facilities may want to have other data centers may want to have facilities in place so that regardless of what happens on the grid, they have a certain amount of power all the time. Clearly, one size does not fit all. As a result, the data center rate schedule establishes guidelines to govern the development of a special contract between EKPC, the local distribution cooperative, and the data center customer. The rate schedule recognizes that the terms and conditions of that special contract can and should be tailored to the specific circumstances of the data center. Importantly, each special contract must be reviewed and approved by the Kentucky Public Service Commission. And in other words, that means that every data center special contract that EKPC enters into must be determined by the PSC to be fair, just, and reasonable for everyone. At this time, EKPC has not filed a proposed special contract with the PSC for any prospective data center projects. Under the new rate, a facility qualifies as a data center if it uses at least 15 megawatts of electricity and has a load factor of 60% or higher. And basically what that means is that it uses a large amount of electricity pretty steadily. This is likely to require new infrastructure, like substations, high voltage transmission lines, even additional power plant capacity. Depending on the circumstances, that could cost millions of dollars, could cost hundreds of millions of dollars, depending on the circumstances. Those costs will be borne by the data center under this rate schedule. The new data center rate schedule recognizes that very large users of electricity can drive enormous daily costs. Costs for power plant fuel, costs for transmission access, and other variable costs. As a result, to protect our other members, data centers will be required to prepay several months of those variable costs into a holding account that EKPC and the local co-op can draw from as we incur expenses. Collateral requirements will provide further protections against costs that could be left stranded if a data center unexpectedly closes before the end of its contract. Data centers needing more than 250 megawatts of power plant capacity must have a dedicated resource. That means they cannot simply buy the power that they need from whatever generation sources are available at that moment off the market. They must have a firm contract for electricity, for capacity, from one or more power plants. This is important. For years, EKPC has been very vocal about federal policies that are driving reliable power plants out of business, and other states that have policies that likewise are driving the power plants in those states out of business. Some of those other states have advanced policies to shut down their reliable, dispatchable power plants and depend heavily on markets and on intermittent resources. Meanwhile, some states have forced the breakup of their vertically integrated electric industries. As a result, the electric retailers in those states don't have the protection of owned assets. They're forced to rely on markets to provide the power plant capacity that they need. They're hoping that somebody, almost certainly in another state that owns a power plant, will be able to provide the capacity that they need. Now, the states that close their power plants are the ones that are screaming the loudest about high electricity bills. Kentucky has taken a much wiser, much sounder approach. Kentucky's policymakers support grid reliability. As a result, EKPC has invested in keeping reliable power plants open here in Maysville and in other places. We've kept those operating to serve the needs of Kentucky's homes and businesses. As the demand for electricity grows, EKPC has added reliable power plants and capacity to serve that growing need. This protects cooperative members from volatile market prices because we own the assets. EKPC's data center rate schedule is rooted in the idea that large loads must have firm generation, and they must pay for those resources. They cannot simply lean on markets. In the past several years, EKPC has received dozens of inquiries from prospective data center developers. Most of those have come and gone. But EKPC has had ongoing discussions with a company that is interested in locating a data center right here in the Maysville area. We've explored various ideas, possibilities, configurations, with a wide range of potential power needs and resources to meet those needs. Those discussions continue. Due to contractual agreements, EKPC cannot disclose details. This is routine with most prospective economic development projects, including projects that are much, much smaller than this one. But EKPC's senior management has met with senior management of the company. We can confirm it is a Fortune 100 organization that is a well-known brand name. The company has stated their intention to build, own, and operate the data center facility throughout its lifespan. We believe this is a strong positive for this community and for our cooperatives. EKPC is confident this project offers a unique opportunity for jobs, investment, and tax base for the Maysville community and for the state of Kentucky. EKPC supports this project. Close proximity to Spurlock Station and existing transmission infrastructure will help to minimize the impact of additional electric infrastructure. In addition, EKPC believes serving this load will help to stabilize rates for all co-op members. The data center rate schedule will insulate cooperative members from data center costs, and data centers, like all members, will contribute to the bottom lines of our not-for-profit cooperatives. Due to their large relative size, data centers will make a large contribution to that bottom line, helping to maintain stable rates for all co-op members. In terms of the text amendment before the Commission, EKPC has reviewed that document, as well as proposed changes submitted by the company. EKPC supports those changes with the understanding that our cooperative will have the power and the infrastructure in place when needed. When EKPC is planning a significant power plant or power line project, we routinely engage the public by providing detailed information about what we're planning and how we expect it will impact the community. We will conduct public meetings to provide information and answer questions when there is a project to discuss. Further, we are subject to regulation by the Kentucky Public Service Commission, which requires review and approval of qualifying generation and transmission projects. This provides further opportunities for the public to participate in the future. This is an opportunity for this community. It's an opportunity for this community, this region, and this state. And EKPC looks forward to working with Maysville and Mason County as we continue to focus on providing affordable, reliable, cost-competitive power to existing and new members in our cooperative family. That concludes my remarks. If I have a minute or two, there were a couple of things that were brought up last week during Mr. Shaw's comments that I'd just like to quickly address. There was a question about if there's a circumstance where there are rotating outages, rolling blackouts, would that impact the data center? And the answer is the data center will be treated like any other cooperative member. They will be exposed to that same risk, and I believe that is probably why a lot of data center customers are interested in having on-site backup generation. Because of situations like that, like a rolling blackout or a tornado, ice storm can affect service, as we all know. Also, there was a question about whether coal would remain the primary fuel for Spurlock Station as we co-fire that power plant, and the answer is yes. So what EKPC plans to do as we add natural gas capabilities, all 4 of those units will be able to operate on natural gas up to 50% of its capacity. But we will retain the ability to run each of those units on up to 100% coal. So coal will continue to be the primary fuel. That's a tool to be able to manage CO2 emissions. If we don't do that, the other options under the greenhouse gas rule, the EPA rule, is to either shut down that power plant by, I believe, 2032, or spend about $11 billion on experimental technology for a plant like Spurlock Station. That would be very expensive for everybody in this room if you're a co-op member. So I believe we've chosen the affordable route. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity.